Previously on Big Brother. Good evening, I'm Seth Ott. Welcome to Previously on Big Brother Week 4. Pretty crazy week in the Big Brother house, so I'm just going to get right into it. We leave off from Thursday's episode where Nick wins head of household. We have some other little gameplay things going on there with Mickey casts a rogue vote against the house to keep Kemi in. He uses this as a way to kind of stir up some things, and because he doesn't quite trust Isabella and Nick. Isabella specifically has been one to stir some things up and reveal some things that she shouldn't. And so this causes Mickey to kind of realize that and go ahead and cast this rogue vote to try and get them out. This is something that they kind of want to plan to do, is to get them out. They're on the outs with this group because they are untrustworthy. This leads to, so Mickey doesn't tell really anyone but Jack. Jack is his best friend in the house, and so he tells Jack about it, and Jack is very ecstatic because, again, he also wants Isabella and Nick out. Really, that's those 6 people want Isabella and Nick out. So I think for his game, I don't necessarily like those people, the whole grateful thing, but I think this is a good move for that because these cracks need to start forming. This group needs to go. I cannot stand this group. They are the worst, and I'll get back into that in a little bit. So we also have the Whacktivity competition this week. Christy wins that. I mentioned last week that it's a power that has come back from previous seasons. That power being the diamond power of veto, that is a huge power. What that means is at a veto competition or veto ceremony, she can turn the regular veto into a diamond veto, which allows whoever is holding the veto to also take someone off the block and put someone else up of their choosing. So the head of household can't do that. I think she can use that for the next 4 weeks. That is a huge benefit to her game, because if she's on the block, or if one of her friends wins veto, she kind of moving ahead a little bit, she tells Nick and Isabella about that. That's bad because of what happens later on, but they know, if she can also tell people in her group, if one of them wins veto, they can also make that choice if they're not head of household. That could come into play next week even, and I'll kind of talk about that too. She also tells Tommy, though. She tells Tommy about that because that's her closest ally in the house. That's great. I'm really liking Tommy a lot more, and I'll come up to that in a little bit. So this is really where the game starts to come into play with the overall aspect of the social stuff. So with that rogue vote Mickey cast, that gets blamed on Nicole. Nicole becomes paranoid about that and starts kind of hearing things and telling things to different people that she's heard, and these are truthful things that she's heard. Mickey had mentioned to her previously that they don't trust Nick and Isabella. So Nicole, and actually last week I'll mention, I called Nicole Allison for some reason, don't know why. It's Nicole, and I know that now because she is featured heavily in this week. He's kind of let some things slip. And so Nicole goes and tells Nick and Isabella, hey, there's been some rumblings. People kind of want you guys out. They don't trust you. You should keep people safe this week that will have your back, and I can have your back in this game. Nicole tells Nick and Isabella that right before nominations. Nick instead just goes with his gut and puts up Cliff and Jessica because the house wants Nicole and Cliff up, because Cliff was doing the whole thing with the Zing, Lord of the Zings or whatever, Fellowship of the Zings. But anyway, Nick puts up Cliff and Jessica and goes and after the ceremony asks everyone about what was going on and if this is all true. They of course say no, it's not true. This becomes a huge bashing session on Nicole, and then Ovi comes up and tries to defend her because they won't let Nicole in the room and they're being super rude to her. Then they bash Ovi, and this whole thing just becomes a high school popularity thing, and it's really annoying. It sickens me, to be honest. Like this stuff is what I absolutely hate about Big Brother. When they start attacking people personally, that's when it becomes a whole thing that is beyond the game. And really, this whole grateful thing and in this thing, they had Sam up there, and he becomes they become undeniable, which is stupid. Anyway, they're all up there and just up there bashing the 4 or 5 other people who aren't a part of their alliance personally, and they're not talking to them, and they're being mean to them and not letting them in conversations, not letting them in rooms because they're not part of this alliance. They're not being social. And in past games, there's been little stuff of this, but in past games, they've at least hung out with them and like been nice to them and unless there's like a beef between one another person, it hasn't been group mentality like this, and it's really gross. And I can't stand that. And I hope this becomes a whole, just this grateful thing, what they end up becoming. I hope it just blows up here soon so these people can stop being such dickheads, because it's so annoying. Yeah, Jack, after that point, Jack is a dick to Ovi down in the storage room. Ovi is just like, hey, what's going on? What's the problem? And Jack's just like, nothing, man. Nothing. What are you going to do about it? That type of thing. Just like, shut the hell up, Jack. You are a douchebag. So then this leads to a conversation between Nicole and Isabella. Nicole wants to clear the air, and Isabella she just comes down there and railroads Nicole, just goes right over everything. She doesn't let Nicole get a word in edgewise. I think this might be a later conversation anyway. Nick tries to come in and have his own conversation with Nicole as well. That doesn't work because Nick just railroads her too. And these two are just awful, awful people. At least that's what they seem. And I did see too online. This is kind of a separate thing from the live feeds. I don't know if I brought up the live feeds. I mean, Big Brother does have the overall like 24-hour thing, but you can watch and what actually happens and stuff too. Because sometimes the edits make things look differently than they are. Anyway, Nick says to Nicole that like about her anxiety, because apparently Nicole in the beginning had talked to Nick about anxiety and he was talking her through it, because I think he's a therapist or something. He's bad at it because he's a dick. But Nicole had mentioned anxiety, and then in this conversation he's like, is that even real? Is this your gameplay? You don't even have anxiety, do you? Like that type of shit. Like, just grow up, people. You guys are fucking children. It's so annoying. Anyway, so we get to that point after that where we go into the power veto. Catherine kills the power veto. We brought back from last season, can't quite remember her name now. She was kind of a crazy person, but she was fine. There's crazier people in the house this year, but she dominates the power veto, and she's very happy about it. She wants to show she can play the game, and she can. It'll be interesting to see now what happens with kind of the lines in the sand. Anyway, after this power veto, Christy gets completely paranoid. She is thinking about using her diamond power veto, even though she has no reason to. She knows the person going up is going to be Nicole. But anyway, she gets paranoid and is just crying and talking to a bunch of people, not thinking she's going to go up, and she's certain she's going to go up, and she says it is what it is. Just absolutely is going bananas. Doesn't get used. Catherine uses she doesn't go up. Catherine uses the veto to take down Jessica. That puts up Nicole. That sets up what Nick and Isabella want. So as I mentioned too, shortly after that, Christy tells Nick and Isabella about the diamond power veto to kind of, this is in the Thursday episode, to get into to get trust back, because she was freaking out. But that probably wasn't the best move now, because that leads to now where Nick and Isabella are on the outs again. Now that their reign is over, they're on the outs. And those 6 people, so just to kind of recap, we have Tommy and Christy, we have Holly and Mickey, and we have Jack and Annalise. They're now a group of 6 called the 6 Shooters. I mentioned earlier, I want to rewind a little bit too. During that whole thing with Nicole and Isabella, where they're having a fight and Isabella is just railroading her, Tommy stood up for her. Tommy said, give her a chance to talk. I'm sorry you didn't have a chance to talk, and was comforting Nicole. I think Tommy has done that a couple times now, where he's supported the people who are being basically beaten down like this. I like Tommy. I think Tommy, he even mentions too, I was in a group mentality during this whole undeniable thing, and when we're being really mean to Ovi and Nicole and Kemi and all them, I feel bad about that, because he's someone who has had to deal with that too. And I'm glad he's recognizing that this group of people is not a good group of people. They are really mean. A lot of them are very, very mean, especially Mickey and Jack. Those two are just the biggest meathead, douchebag, power-hungry people that have been in the house in a long time. I know there's been some live feed stuff where they've maybe even said some racist things or some derogatory things, or I know they're just demeaning people. Jack completely demeaned Kemi with this whole thing about putting, he was talking to her like a child, and she just had to kind of take it because he's in power, and that sucks. She could create a whole stir, and kind of what I was talking about before in the first few weeks when they were portraying her as someone who was very outspoken and loud and doesn't care. I came back around on Kemi because I wish she would have stood up for herself. I wish she would have said something to Jack and said, hey, shut the fuck up. You are being an asshole. But, he's in power, so it doesn't matter. And I hope that changes this week. So anyway, we get those 6 people, as I mentioned. They are now the 6 shooters because Jack likes to shoot his guns because he's an idiot. So They're the 6 shooters. Whatever. I hope that the 6 shooters becomes 5 very quickly. And it might this week. But they decide that they don't want Nicole out. Nicole's going to go after Nick and Isabella. So they decide they want to keep Nicole. And that is exactly what happens, which is awesome. Nicole stays in the house. Everyone's shocked, honestly. I mean, Nick and Isabella have a look on their face like, what just happened? And good, because these cracks need to start forming. The 6 is strong right now, but if they continue to do these things to each other, they've shown they can do this, and now the distrust that's going to happen between them and other people in the house, I think this is really going to start breaking up that 6. I think this is good for the other side of the house now, because Nick and Isabella are quote-unquote numbers. I think whoever wins head of household, if it's on the other side of the house, unless it's Nicole, but I know who wins, so I'll talk about a little spoiler section in a minute. But unless it was Nicole, I think the other side of the house realizes that the power is Jack and Mickey. So whoever wins head of household can target them instead of and leave the whole Nick and Isabella thing out and realize, hey, these people can vote with us to get those other people out. That is awesome. So I hope that's what happens. We will see, though. Then we have the camp comeback competition. Cliff kills it. So Cliff comes back in the house. It's like this rolling ball competition they've done a variation of for a long time. Cliff just dominates it, and I think that's because he is a Big Brother fan, a super fan. He really is. He's talked about it, and he's seen this competition before. He realizes it's a steady one. A lot of people go kind of crazy with it. He's steady, and he just all the way down. He beat the time limit. He just basically, to win, you had to get 5 balls. He had to track 5 balls into a tube. Most people don't finish that thing. They had like 2.5 minutes. I think he had a minute left. And I was like, damn it, Cliff, you're killing it. So I hope he continues his hot streak. But that's where we're at. So they end the show with interviewing the people who were in camp comeback. And, they're clearly sad. Kemi, Ovi, and David. It was unfortunate to see that those 3 were out because they were targeted for various reasons in the beginning. I talked about some derogatory things or some potential racist things that they were saying. And, if you look at the Grateful Alliance, minus maybe Tommy, the rest are all, pretty stereotypical people who are in the game of Big Brother. And unfortunately, that minorities tend to go out sooner. And it's an unfortunate thing, and I hate seeing it. And because those derogatory comments, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if these people are the people in power, because they don't look like them. And when you go into a house like that, I mean, you strip away so much stuff, and the only thing you have left is creating alliances and bonds based off of looks and based off of, because if you look at that Grateful Alliance, it's a bunch of, other than Isabella, a bunch of white 20-something good-looking people. And then now you see who's all out first, and it sucks. It really does. And I know David was playing a great game in terms of like his strategy, and Ovi was playing a good social game for a little bit, and then he just kind of got caught up in everything. And Kemi too was creating alliances and trying to play a game, and Isabella just turned her back on her because Isabella wanted to go with the power. And look where it ended up. Look what happened to Nick and Isabella. So I hate that it has come to the whole race thing, but unfortunately it does. That's what's happening in the house, and I want to point it out because that's something that is a big thing online right now on the Big Brother Twitter and live feeds, and I think it's a big thing that has happened many times. There was an article about it. A former house guest who is trans was targeted and was also kind of manipulated by the producers, and a lot of stuff going on there. It makes me sick. It really does. And there's times where I've thought, like, I don't want to maybe even talk about these people anymore. I just want to stop doing this because of everything that's going on with the whole race thing and the whole derogatory comments. It's disgusting. Last season, we really didn't have a ton of that. It was a lot better last season, and they seemed to be respectful. Season 19 had actually a kind of a lot of it too. I really hope, though, that this stuff really goes away, and those people who are doing that get out of the house, because they don't deserve to be there. They really don't. Jack and Mickey especially don't deserve to be there, because they're complete shitty ass people. Cannot stand them. So I will do a quick spoilers. We'll go for 1 minute starting now. I did see on Twitter, unfortunately, I was spoiled. Cliff wins head of household. That is awesome. That is really good. I can't wait to see what he does. with the head of household. Like I said, I hope he doesn't take out Nick and Isabel. I hope he sees that they are on the outs and he goes for the power couples. And I hope he just puts up Jack and Mickey, puts them both up in the beginning. Even if one of them wins the head of household, it doesn't matter because they are going to be on the outs this week because of the numbers that are there, because of what they've done now. It's a good move in terms of like getting people out for like Nick and Isabella, but I think those 6 are found now. So I hope Jack and Mickey go up, and I hope that Cliff realizes this and starts to make some moves. We have a divide in the house, and that 6-shooters thing can go away. I hope Tommy realizes that soon too, because I really like him, and I really think Sam has a shot here. They mentioned, so you can stop the spoilers now. They mentioned in the post interview with those 3, Kemi, David, and Ovi, that Kemi said, "Hey, look out for Sam. Sam has been playing both sides. Sam has been in the conversations that he needs to be, out of the ones he doesn't want to be in, that aren't beneficial to his game." And he's playing a really nice, good game. He's a competitor. He's won a couple of competitions. Go Sam! I'm really rooting for Sam. I'm rooting for Cliff. I think he can do a lot of good. He's kind of killing it right now. And I definitely rooting for Nicole as well after what's going on with her. I really hope that she can put together a game now, because she deserves to be there. Those other people who are morons don't deserve to be there. So that's it. That is a big week. That's just a tiny bit longer than normal. Few things that got brought up that I just wanted to talk about, because some things are going on in the house that I just don't feel are right. So that's it. That's all I got. Again, please check out, along with this show, the SoCo Show, every Thursday, where we talk about movies, mostly movies, TV, and a lot of other things in pop culture. Also check out our YouTube channel, where you can catch this show, as well as Cody will be doing some videos separately as well. And please check out on YouTube as well, Jared Buckendahl, at Jared Buckendahl, don't have the sounder, where he's doing a ton of trailer reactions, a ton of reviews, because this is the time of year for that. Comic-Con's going on right now, and so there's a lot of stuff coming out. Otherwise, that is it. We'll see you next week from inside the SoCo Studios. I'm Seth Ott. Good night. Previously on Big Brother.